news tonight, it's the 74th anniversary of D-Day. We sit down with two veterans tonight who talk about their experience during World War II. Plus, local middle and high school students launching rockets off in honor of Worcester's Robert Goddard. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Anna Botari. Today marks the 74th anniversary of D-Day. Nearly 500,000 soldiers were killed, wounded, or went missing during the Battle of Normandy. Tonight we're hearing from a pair of brothers who remember what it was like to serve in World War II. Our Cam Jandro sat down with them tonight and has the story live in Worcester. Cam?
Anna, the DeMoger brothers served in both the Army and Navy during World War II. Now, neither one of them was actually in Normandy for D-Day, but looking back 74 years later, they say they have fond memories looking back at June 6th, 1944. 74-year anniversary of D-Day. Veterans John and Carol DeMoger remember June 6th, 1944.
It was on a death mission. Nobody's going to come back.
Both brothers are Worcester natives and were in the service during World War II. John, now 94 years old, was in the Navy during the war.
We lost a lot of pilots, but they sank the target, the mission that they're after, and it was worth it.
Carol, an amazing 102 years old, served as a medic during the war. He says although he wasn't there to fight, he'll never forget his time on the battlefield.
Direct shooting at me was not happening, but I had to be careful I didn't get whacked by some wild bullet or an explosive.
The brothers have 3 more siblings, but were the only ones to serve during World War II. They now live at the Christopher House in Worcester. Laughing and reminiscing about their time at war, the brothers say it was nice to finally return home to Worcester.
I had a family. I lived at home, 38. And the street that we lived on, they put 290 highway right through it, you know?
Oh, we couldn't feel any better than anything in the world.
That's right.
Now, when sitting with John, he says he shares his stories because there's not as many World War II veterans around these days, and it's important to educate younger generations on the sacrifices those soldiers made for them. Reporting live tonight in Worcester, I'm Cam Jandro, Worcester News Tonight.
Thank you, Cam. D-Day also being remembered today at the Worcester Public Library. Local history and genealogy librarian Joy Hennig says her father was in World War II, and the history of this period means a great deal to her. 2 months ago, she took a trip to the beaches in Normandy and says it was an eye-opening experience.
Like what they went through and what it took for them to face what they needed to face on those beaches.
She says the courage the soldiers had on D-Day made a difference in all of our lives. Switching gears now, recreational marijuana sales are expected to begin across the state of Massachusetts in less than 1 month. More than 50 applications for business licenses are under review by the Cannabis Control Commission. They say a large portion of them are in Worcester County. Our Brittany Schaefer has more.
There are currently 16 applications for Worcester County. The second highest county in Massachusetts only has 5. One applicant says it's the central location that made a big difference. 51 applications are in for recreational marijuana businesses to open shop in Massachusetts. And according to the Cannabis Control Commission, Worcester County is the popular spot.
I've noticed concentration in Worcester. There are 16, I think, of the 51 that are in Worcester or in Worcester County. And you know that is a concentration, but I'm not drawing any conclusions from that. I think it's just premature.
There are currently 16 applications in Worcester County, including one from Cultivate in Leicester. The medical marijuana dispensary says Central Massachusetts has been the perfect location.
Right on Route 9, easy to get to. There's also not a lot in this area for other sites. So rather than driving an hour to some of these other locations, we'll be right here.
President Sam Barber says since opening back in December, they have made a positive influence on the town.
We brought 20 jobs to town, in the process of hiring 12 more, and we're just excited to be a part of the community.
And town administrator David Genero agrees. While the town is only having one retail shop, he says they have several applications coming in for distribution centers.
We are all challenged with revenue. You have to be creative, and this is one way to do it. Those 3 agreements alone are worth, if maxed out, almost $1 million.
The Cannabis Control Commission expects more applications to come and says they'll be reaching out to current applicants next week.
We're moving quickly through the process, but we're being thorough.
Barber says he expects his application to go through, and they hope to open recreationally on July 1st. Brittany Schaefer, Worcester News Tonight.
A Worcester man is arrested Tuesday. Police say he was selling crack cocaine. Worcester's neighborhood response team was patrolling the area of Pleasant Street after complaints about quality of life issues. Officers saw a man approach 30-year-old Jesus Hernandez with money in his hand. Police say Hernandez and the man disappeared behind a stairwell, and when they came back, he was clutching a small object. Officers developed probable cause Hernandez had engaged in a narcotics transaction. He was placed under arrest and is facing multiple charges, including distribution of a Class B substance and possession of Class B with intent to distribute. Residents of an apartment building catching fire Tuesday night are back on scene today, checking out the remains of their home. Firefighters responded to Oberlin Street just before 8 p.m. last night. One person was transported to the hospital where, at last check, they remain in serious condition. Several others were displaced. One resident we spoke to say firefighters were able to rescue his 2 dogs from inside.
She was hidden in there, and my cubicle is white, and she's white, so they couldn't see her, all the smoke. And finally they found her.
The cause of the fire is under investigation. The City of Worcester welcoming its new members of Youth Council at a special induction ceremony Wednesday. The program is similar to City Council, but students between the ages of 13 and 19 fill in. 21 kids spoke the oath and were inducted into the group. Members say Youth Council allows them to create a connection with city's local government and serve as a voice for younger kids in Worcester.
To collaborate with the actual council and the Worcester manager to address problems in the city and advocate for the voices that can't be heard in Worcester.
That's a lot of adult advocates speaking out on youth problems to the City Council. And while they do great work, it's not the same as youth talking about youth problems. So that's what we aim to do.
Youth Council will hold their first meeting of the year later this month. An Oxford hero is remembered with his own day and a street sign. Steve Palermo passed away last year, but the Major League Baseball umpire is most known for his heroic actions. Our Rosalind Flaherty has more on how the town is remembering him.
This street in Oxford is now named after a local hero. Steve Palermo was raised in the town and went on to become an umpire in Major League Baseball.
Whenever he was umpiring a game, I'm willing to bet that a good proportion of the community watched that particular game.
His career was cut short after he was shot and paralyzed from the waist down while trying to prevent a robbery.
Not only made him a town hero, but a national hero, one that everyone could look up to.
Selectman John Sad and the town of Oxford decided to name the road Palermo Drive after getting approval from the MLB. Palermo played sports and went to school at the end of the street.
The family, and Steve in particular, was very familiar with that area.
Judy Sampson grew up with the umpire and says it's great to see his name driving by.
It's a nice tribute to him and his family.
The town even dedicating June 5th to the legend. Palermo died of cancer last year at 67 years old. Sad says this street sign is a way for his name to live on.
It's an ideal remembrance for someone who did so much for the community and for society in general.
Rosalind Flaherty, Worcester News Tonight.
Rockets were launched from Worcester Polytechnic Institute tonight. It's part of the annual Goddard's Cup. The event is honoring the achievements of Dr. Robert Goddard, who launched the world's first liquid-fueled rocket. Middle and high schools throughout Worcester County are invited to send student teams to the event. Each team is asked to create a rocket with non-combustible water. The team who launches the rocket the farthest wins.
Like we have set of like 30 meters distance from launching point to the Goddard circle. We call Goddard circle for the target, the bullseye. And so The winning process is the rocket which lands closest to the center of the Goddard circle will be the winner.
This year, 8 teams came out to compete, including Frederick Hartnett Middle School, who have been participating for the past 5 years.
It isn't just reading and memorizing things from a book. They need to see that it affects what we do in life. And this gives them the hands-on stuff.
Grafton Police All-Stars take on the New England Patriots in its 26th annual basketball charity tournament. The Patriots went into tonight looking to improve upon last year's epic loss against the All-Stars. The game is one of the largest fundraisers conducted by the association. Police officers went up against former and current celebrities, including former Patriot Steve Diossi. All the team's money went back to the community.
We donate to sports groups, fire victims, any tragedies in town that need fundraising. Basically anybody who solicits money from us, we look at it and then we donate it back out. So all the money goes right back out to charity.
Yeah, I grew up in Boston. I can remember when I was a kid, professional athletes, ex-professional athletes coming into the community and giving back. And the minute I had a chance to do it, I jumped on the opportunity.
Well, the Patriots came back and they won the game 72-55.